Hi and welcome to tonight's Action Coaching Club live training call. Nice to be with you tonight. It's Lou Dallo, and tonight I want to welcome you to Getting Started with Facebook Advertising. Now, I mentioned in an email that today really is kind of a primer and introduction to Facebook advertising. I talked to a lot of folks who seem to kind of understand the value of Facebook advertising. They think it's a good idea, but they're not quite sure that it's for them. Sometimes people feel like advertising online can be a risky or expensive proposition. With everything that's online, with all the technology that's online, then other people are saying, well, it's just one less technology I want to learn. And there seem to be some concerns about it. But what I found is usually when I walk people through what I'm going to walk you through tonight, usually the reaction is, oh, well, why didn't you tell me sooner that it was that simple? And so my goal here is, if you're not already advertising on Facebook, hopefully we'll show you just how easy it is, and we'll show you how to manage your risk and your budget so that you feel comfortable investing a little bit of time and money in Facebook advertising, and also that you'll see how easy it is technically, so you don't feel like there's a whole new learning curve for you to get involved with. Now, of course, once you start advertising regularly and you have a lot of traffic and everything else, there are advanced tactics and there are advanced techniques for monitoring and optimizing and so on. We don't need to do that to get started. We don't have to jump straight. I always, because I'm Canadian, I guess I always have this hockey analogy, but if you're just putting on your skates for the first time, you don't need to know how the NHLers do it, right? You just need to know how to get on and skate. And take those first few steps, get comfortable, and then when you're comfortable, you can pick up the speed a little bit, and then you can get tricky. So the purpose tonight really is just to give you that first experience of how easy it is to do, give you a couple of ideas of what you can do, and hopefully, my intention would be that when we're done with this call, that you log into your Facebook account and start running some ads. I mean, that would be ideal. So if you're inspired to do that, please do. Now, you may also be on Facebook already in advertising, in which case this may be a little bit of a reminder, but nonetheless, I encourage you to sit through and watch it again. You might pick up a different perspective or way of doing things, and again, it might reinforce just how simple, fast, and affordable this is, and encourage you to do a little bit more of it. Okay, so if you are new to Facebook advertising, let's start with why this is such a good idea. Now, it's probably something I don't really have to tell you, because who doesn't know about Facebook and the fact that there's around 600 million people on it and growing every day. Now, obviously, these aren't all your customers or all your prospects, but because Facebook is so good at identifying the demographics and the likes and interests of the people that are on Facebook, you stand a very good chance of identifying exactly who would be interested in your products and services and running your ads only in front of those people. It's very simple, as you're going to see. I think, I'm kind of hard pressed to make this particular call last longer than a half hour. So we may be finished early, but nonetheless, you'll see, and that's a good thing, right? Because that hopefully will reinforce how simple it is. Very fast to get up and running, and still it's relatively affordable. So there isn't a lot of competition yet. There aren't a lot of people bidding up the prices. For as big as Facebook is, the advertising side of it is still new ground for a lot of folks and a lot of companies. And so there's still room for the smaller entrepreneur to play and to make a significant impact. And this especially is is a great alternative if you have been using or considering using AdWords. In my experience lately, AdWords has gotten very complex, more and more expensive, and I found that keeping up with Google's rule changes is both exhausting and expensive. One day it's a slap, one day it's a content, one day it's a farmer thing, one day it's they don't like squeeze pages, one day they do, one day they're going after ClickBank, another day it's the FTC. I mean, it's always something, it seems, and to me it feels like it's a constantly moving target, that it gets harder and harder to just have a campaign running that brings you decent traffic. And of course, with so much money being allocated by big corporations, literally there are companies that invest millions of dollars a week, sometimes millions of dollars a day, in their AdWords advertising. It becomes increasingly challenging for us as small business entrepreneurs to compete. And some of the tools that they have at their disposal can sometimes cost hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month. And it's kind of hard, it's kind of like going on the battlefield with a knife when somebody has an AK-47. You don't stand a really good chance. I mean, you could win that battle, but chances are pretty good that you're overmatched. So I haven't been recommending to clients that they look at AdWords primarily. I mean, it's an option, but it's not the principal option. I also found, and this happened to me personally, that accounts are getting suspended all the time for what I consider to be arbitrary and ridiculous reasons, and and you can't always rely on logic and patience and and a rational thinking in terms of reinstating your accounts. So there are a lot of small business people who have been put out of business by their accounts being shut down, and if you look at what they're doing, there's really nothing there that you would consider so awful that it would shut their accounts down. You would think that you'd get an email saying, oh, by the way, you need to change this URL, or oh, by the way, you need to change this landing page. But Google's approach is, we're shutting down your account now and forever. You're never allowed to have one again. And then you're lucky if they even take your email to plead your case. So to me, I kind of feel like Google's a little bit of a small business killer right now, and I'm very uncomfortable recommending it to most of my clients, and therefore I would say to you, proceed with caution if you're advertising on Google. And definitely don't put all your eggs in the Google basket, so you need to diversify a little bit. Where do you diversify? I recommend you take a look and see if Facebook will work for you. Now, the Facebook advertising model is a little bit different than what you may be used to when you think about, for example, AdWords, because AdWords is what we call search marketing. People type in a keyword phrase and they're searching for information, and then they see advertising and organic results related to that information. Instead, in Facebook, it's a little bit more like a display or a banner advertising model. So your ads are targeted to specific users based on their demographics, based on their interests, based on the pages that they've liked across the Facebook network. And whenever oh my goodness, and whenever your advertising profile matches the user profile in terms of the demographic specifications, by demographic of course I mean age, race, I'm going to include location, income, things like that, and also likes and interests, which means that if you're looking for someone, for example, who's interested in internet marketing, and in their profile they've indicated that either they indicate in their profile that they're interested in internet marketing, or they are liking pages that are about internet marketing, then Facebook will then understand that that's a targeted prospect for you, and then display your ad in front of that targeted prospect. So it's not search marketing. People are not actively looking for you necessarily. They're just kind of surfing around on Facebook doing their social thing. But when a person is surfing around, there are ads displayed on the right-hand side of their of the Facebook environment, and so Facebook is constantly looking to display the ads that relate to the user profile and demographics as accurately as possible. And if those happen to be the ones that you specify in your advertising, then your ad will display. So the good news is it's not search marketing, so you're not going to see as many click-throughs, but the people who view your ads are going to be highly targeted. Now, what is similar is that you can pay either on a cost per click basis or on a cost per thousand basis. And excuse me. And cost per click basically just means that you don't pay until the user actually clicks on your ads, whereas cost per thousand means that you're paying a fixed cost every time your ad displays 1,000 times. So if you're doing cost per click, if your ad displays 1,000 times and nobody ever clicks on it, cost per click is going to cost you 0, right? Because nobody clicks on your ad. But cost per thousand, if it displayed 1,000 times and the cost of 1,000 impressions is $1, for example, then you're going to pay $1 for those 1,000 impressions, independent of whether anybody clicked on them or not. And there are pros and cons for doing both. I typically would do something like I would typically do something like a cost per click until I've worked out my ads and then move to a cost per thousand. But lately I've been sort of coached to just go cost per thousand in this kind of Facebook environment, because over the long haul and based on averages, it usually ends up costing you less. Do your own testing. Might be a little bit, results may vary in your market, but certainly if you're paying, if your ad is generating a reasonable number of clicks, then you'll usually end up doing better with cost per thousand. So when you see people talking about getting getting visitors, getting traffic at 1 cent or 5 cents a click or something, well, the way they're doing it is they have a really high converting ad that's generating a lot of click-throughs, but they're only paying per 1,000 impressions. So imagine if you were paying $1 per 1,000 impressions and you had 100 clicks on those 1,000 impressions, you're paying 1 penny per click. Okay? So this is the Facebook environment, and there's a couple of things I'll bring to your attention. So first of all, the thing in the middle there is called likes and interests. Okay, so this is some user's profile. I don't know exactly whose it is, so I just blurred them out. But if you looked in your profile, you would see something about me. You would have information about your work and education, which, by the way, also is part of the profile that you can target when you're creating an ad. And then the likes and interests. So these are all, again, either the user will enter them specifically in their profile, or they're populated by Facebook whenever this user goes and clicks the like button on any group, on any application, on any page, on any fan page, and so on. It's going to automatically bring in those likes and interests into the profile. So there's interest, there's music, there's books, there's movies, television, and what will happen is that you can then, as you're specifying your ad, you can say, I only want my ad to display in front of people who, for example, likes water for chocolate, happens to have likes water for chocolate in their movies interests. So if you're selling likes water for chocolate t-shirts, you'd want only people who have that in their likes and profile, likes and interests to see your ad. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say likes and interests. And of course, in the profile, about me usually has age, sex, location, and so on, and those are also things that, now you won't be able to obviously specify that particular user's age, location, sex, and so on. You're working with general averages, but you'll see in the advertising you can say, I only want men in the age range 25 to 40 who happen to live in New York to be able to see my ad, and only if they're interested in let's see, if they're interested in traveling, okay, because I'm doing a travel log for guys. Okay, and so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about likes and interests, and these are the ads that display along the side where yours will display as well. Now, because users are not actively searching, Facebook ads won't get clicked as often, right? So you're going to see, for example, when you're running AdWords or a similar search marketing campaign, you can see clicks of 1.5%, 2.5%, upwards of 1 and 2%. In a display advertising like this, in a media display advertising context like this, you're probably typically going to see about 1/10 of that. So if you see 0.1, 0.15, 0.2% of click-throughs, then you're probably doing okay. In fact, sometimes you'll even see 0.7, 0.07, 0.08, 0.09, like less than 0.01%. Less than 0.1%. So it's about 1/10, and sometimes a little bit less than the amount of click-throughs you're going to see if you were running a straight pay-per-click. And you want to keep that in mind when you're choosing, cost per click or cost per thousand, because if you're only seeing 0.01% of people clicking on your ad, number one, you don't want to keep that ad running, right? Because Facebook won't display it anyway because it doesn't make them any money. But number two, it's going to reflect badly on your account history. And number three, you're just not going to get any traffic, right? And so you may as well pull that ad. It doesn't make any sense to say, oh, I'm going to make it cost per click, because even if you make it cost per click, you don't pay hardly anything, but then again, you're not getting any traffic. So you still want to see the click-through be around, let's say 0.1%, give or take. That you want to set that as a kind of a quality threshold, and less than that, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to automatically pull them, but you definitely want to examine your campaigns carefully, right? So you're not going to see as many clicks, but try to do 0.1% or better. Now the good news is you won't see as many clicks, but the users who most precisely match the specifications that you put in your ads in terms of demographics, social graphics, income, geography, likes, interests, and so on are going to be the only ones who see your ads. And so the viewers will be highly targeted. So your job really, the difference here is that instead of matching a keyword that the user might be looking at, your job is to design a headline and to use an image that's going to stand out and instantly capture the attention of that person, because it either is going to be kind of shocking or weird. It's going to stand out, in the midst of all the other graphics, or it's going to be something highly recognizable. So if I was interested in baseball, and there was an image of a baseball or one of the Hall of Famer baseball players, chances are, even if I wasn't actually looking at that time for anything to do with baseball, because I have a strong interest in it, it would still catch my attention. Okay, so in this case, you're going to look primarily for the image to make a big impact on your viewer. And so it has to stand out, it has to be a little bit shocking, a little different than everything else around it, and as much as possible, when possible, make it relevant to the interest. And then you'll get your fair share of click-throughs if you have a good ad to go along with the image. Now the ads will display in the Facebook environment, and as I was showing you earlier, typically that happens down the right-hand sidebar. It will also display on websites. So Facebook websites, we call them fan pages, right? So pages, and in groups, if you happen to have a Facebook group, there will be ads, so all your group members can see the ads that are displayed there. And then applications. So some Facebook applications that people run on their wall or on their mobile devices or whatever will actually have advertising as well. And you can specify where you want your ads to show up. And generally speaking, so far I've been doing it only within the Facebook environment, not the connection or application or mobile. But that's something that you'll move to at some point for sure, because more and more of us are doing everything mobile nowadays. So it's a great way to reach into people's mobile surfing habits and present your ad. The ad is very simple. It basically consists of a headline, some body text, and optionally an image. Now it says optional, but I'm going to say consider it mandatory, because without the image it's really hard to get a click through. Okay, so this is what the ads look like, right? And this happened to be on one of my profiles. I think it was my profile. Yeah, it was my profile. And so these are people that they're suggesting you make friends with, and where it says sponsored, then here's what you'll see. You'll see the headline, and actually nowadays they'll have the headline and a URL underneath it. If you have a URL to an external page there, they'll have the image, and then they'll have about 135 or so characters here on the image. And important thing to know here is that people in Facebook can actually like, or they can X out your ad. And so even the ads are kind of socially supported. If enough people X out your ad, it won't get displayed. And if you have enough ads that are X'd out, then it may actually cause the closing of your account. So you want to be very careful that your ads not only are compliant to terms of service, but they really don't tick off your users. So controversy is good, but too much controversy can get your account shut down. So users will be able to like your ad, or when they click the X here, they will explain why they don't like it. And if it says the ad is misleading or it's rude or whatever else, that's going to be something that Facebook will become aware of. If you get enough of them, it's a problem, right? So be aware that your ads will be socially graded, just like all your content. Okay, so and again, this could be a Facebook group, it could be a fan page. They more or less have the same layout, and the ads are typically down here along the right hand side. Okay, here's another. This is a Facebook fan page instead of a profile. And actually, this is a little bit older, so now the fan pages are looking even more like profiles. But this is actually just a listing of pages with the keyword that relate to the keyword marketing. So all of these pages are a listing of pages related to marketing, and then Facebook says, well, what the heck? While you're looking at marketing, let me show you some ads as well. So virtually everywhere you go in the Facebook environment, Facebook shows you 2 or 3 ads and also invites you, you're always going to see this create an ad link, because they would love for you to create an ad and start generating more revenue for them as well. So one thing you want to know before, this is the thing that's going to sort of mess with your head when you're going into Facebook, is that they are very, and I don't know if this is, how should I put it? You can look at this and say there's some kind of hidden agenda, or you can say, thank God Facebook is looking out after its users. I don't know, I haven't really figured what side of the fence I stand on, but however you look at it, the truth is that Facebook takes the user interaction very seriously. Okay, I would say probably they haven't gotten quite as draconian as Google yet, but they are very concerned that when users are in Facebook, they have a very pleasant, very relevant, high quality experience. And that translates to the ads. In fact, Facebook often sees your ad as part of the content that they serve up to their users. And so they want it to be of highest quality as possible. So that you have to really become familiar with their ad philosophy and also be aware of the terms of service and guidelines. If you take the time to read those, and we're going to summarize some of those, but I highly recommend you take the time to actually read them, because it'll get more of your ads approved more frequently and fewer rejected, and it'll get more of your ads liked instead of X'd, and you'll get better click-throughs. So everything works a lot better. And like anything else, you don't want to fight the 800-pound gorilla here. Just kind of learn what it is that they want us to do, and play by the rules, because they take it very seriously. So at Facebook, they say, we believe that every part of our site, including the ads, should contribute to and be consistent with the overall user experience. Thus, we're committed to protecting our user experience by keeping the site clean, consistent, and free from misleading advertising. So a lot of the things that you could get away with before that were a little bit aggressive in terms of marketing technique, you're going to find you're going to have to sort of pull back a little bit and be as transparent and authentic as possible. Even in terms of the way you interpret the word free, for example, you can't say, visit this page and download this report free anymore, because as far as Facebook is concerned, the fact that they have to give you their name and email address makes it not free. So unless you literally have the link to the download and all they have to do is download it, your ad can't say free report, right? It has to say something like sign up for this free report, or there's wording there. So you might be really aware that your language has to be as transparent and authentic as possible, and recognize that it's going to affect the marketing. You're going to have a lower marketing impact, but it's going to be required for you to play on Facebook. Now, if you're in any one of these particular areas that they call sort of special circumstances, you want to be especially careful. If you're marketing alcoholic beverages or dating sites and services, anything to do with health and diet, gambling, subscription services, targeting requirements. And by targeting requirements, I mean only suitable for certain age, things like that. If you fall into any of these categories, you're going to want to pay particular attention to the terms of service, and know that they're going to look at your ads with an extra fine-tooth comb. That doesn't mean that they're going to reject it out of hand, although I will tell you that even if you have normal, let's call them ads, you will find that there may be times when your ads are rejected and you can't understand exactly why. So ad rejection is a normal part of the process, but if you're in one of these categories in terms of the services and products you sell, you're going to have to be extra patient, and you're going to have to learn how to work with the person who happens to be reviewing your ad, because it's not always the same, right? This is human reviewed, and it could be anywhere in the world. So there's going to be a language issue, a culture issue, an interpretation issue, all this stuff. And especially when it comes to this, they're going to tend to err on the conservative side. And so you might need to be a little bit more patient, and you might have to get really creative about how you position your product and what it is that you're advertising. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the details of these. I'll leave it for you to go through in the advertising guidelines. But please do, if you happen to be in one of these particular categories of products and services. Now, those were special circumstances. These are just downright prohibited. So any adult content, anything that's copyrighted but by someone other than you, There's no such thing as First Amendment rights here. There's no hate or anti anything content allowed. You can't be anti-guru, anti-government, anti-establishment, anti John Smith. It's just not going to show up. Period. Obviously, no pornography, no spam, no tobacco products. So, if you're a tobacco product reseller, goodbye to Facebook. No weapons or firearms. This is one you have to be really careful about if you're in the internet marketing, or if you're helping people to grow their businesses or make money from home or anything like that, because anything that starts to smell like get rich quick, they're instantly going to shut down. So you can talk about improving your business, increasing sales, getting more clients, but if you say get rich quick from home, or if you say make $1 million guaranteed, or anything even remotely smelling like that, it's going to get shut down. And you can't reference Facebook in your ads, so you cannot say, I'm gonna. Well, actually, you have to. There are some things, like if you're doing coaching on Facebook, or if you're a Facebook coach or something like that, you can get away with that. But you're going to have to be really careful to show them that really all you're doing is you're not infringing on any trademark or copyrights, or you're not representing or holding yourself out to be associated with them, and so on and so forth. So these will get shut down pretty quickly. This is just completely prohibited. And I know that some of us are in the marketing business helping other small businesses grow. So work from home and get rich quick, you have to be very careful. And what you'll find is, if you look at some of the ads that, for example, Rich Schefren or Frank Kern, or what these guys are doing right now, they're not talking at all about getting rich or making money. They're talking about tricky little marketing techniques, or they're talking about, I help entrepreneurs grow their business, or it's very kind of innocuous, third party. It doesn't sound like they're promising that they'll make you rich quick. But then, of course, once you register for their webinar, they will show you how they're going to make you rich quick. Okay, so I'm not saying Frank and Rich are doing that. I'm saying that people who are wanting to talk about get rich programs are going to two-step it. And even Frank and Rich, who maybe Frank is a little bit more get rich quick, but Rich Schefren tends to be a little bit more conservative. But even he is walking the line of saying, I'm not going to be talking in my ads. My list building effort is all going to be around, let me bring you to a webinar where I'm going to teach you business strategy. Okay, and that goes over very well with Facebook. Then if you wanted to move into something a little bit more aggressive in terms of home business opportunity, or any kind of biz op or work from home, then he could, once you're on your list. But before then, as far as Facebook is concerned, it can't talk about. And by the way, when I say work from home, I don't mean like a solo entrepreneur at home. I mean like a biz opportunity. That's the way I interpret that, right? So biz op, I think you know what I mean by that, as opposed to I'm going to help you build your business through conservative marketing principles. It's the one that says, get a franchise and be free forever, financially free forever, or this is really challenging for multi-level marketers to work with. So that's another area that you're going to really find a challenge with. Okay, so if you happen to be in that area, just know you're going to have to work especially hard, and it may turn out that if you can't find a way around it, Facebook won't work for you. So generally speaking, Facebook says they will also prohibit ads where the business model or practice is deemed unacceptable or contrary to Facebook's overall advertising philosophy. So this is a wide sweeping statement that basically says, if there's something that we haven't thought of, but when we look at your ad, we think it's a little bit, fishy or spammy, or fits into one of those suspect categories, everything, we always have the right to pull the plug on your advertising. So, I think for most of us, this doesn't apply. Most of us are running legitimate businesses trying to help people. But sometimes, when we start marketing, we start phrasing things in ways that sound like we're making, aggressive claims and so on. Especially on Facebook, you have to do this all the time, but especially on Facebook, rein that in a little bit, and give people value and advertise something free, something valuable for free, but do not make promises and claims that could be interpreted as unrealistic. Even though you believe you could absolutely defend those claims, if you make them on Facebook advertising and they look at that and go, this sounds like a get rich quick, or this sounds like a business model where it might be MLM, or it might be a Ponzi scheme or something like that, then they're just going to shut it down. So be very aware that they're hypersensitive to that. I'm spending more time on this because That's the one. Claims like this in both health and diet, in my experience with clients, health and diet and money-making claims are probably the two most common reasons for ad rejection and occasional account shutdown. So I just want you to be very aware of that. Now, the ads are reviewed by humans, so you may find at times you feel like the ad approval is arbitrary. In fact, there have been times I've submitted two identical ads at different times. One time it gets rejected, one time it gets approved. That's going to happen. The reason, I guess, for this is because, Google has people all over the planet that are approving the ads or reviewing them. Different cultures, different languages, different ages, different experiences, different perspectives, and some of them, if they don't have as much experience, might be, wanting not to approve ads if they're not sure about, they'll err on the conservative side and so on. So you're playing a little bit of roulette here, depending on who's looking at your ad. But the key thing here is the guideline interpretation will vary. In fact, there are times I look at ads that are running, I see them in my profile, I go, how in the world did that get approved? They're clearly blatantly in violation of policy, and eventually they don't show up anymore. But sometimes, they'll get through, and the opposite is true as well. Sometimes you may have a perfectly good ad, but just the way people interpret it and apply the guidelines, they may reject it. So make a quick change, resubmit it. Just keep changing and resubmitting. As far as I know at this point, there's no penalty for you resubmitting an ad, right? Because all you're doing is taking their feedback, making a change, and resubmitting it for their review. So it's going to take a little patience on your part, perhaps, but don't worry too much about having to do that if you have doing that if you have to. And also, once you find an ad that works, then use variations of that ad with subtle changes as much as possible, because hey, if they approve the ad, you may as well run it as often as you can. So if the image gets approved, then think about reusing that image and doing a different headline. If the headline gets approved, then use that headline wherever possible, right? Recently I was running some advertising for Presentation Domination, and I found that one headline, automate your webinars, got approved, and grow your business with webinars didn't, or something like that. It was marketing with webinars didn't get approved, automate your webinars did get approved. So I just did everything I can based on automate, and then I worked until I could fit the word marketing in the headline. And then once they approved the one with the marketing headline, then I just changed the advertising. But then I knew the headline wasn't something that was going to make the ad bounce. So you want to keep a little swipe file of all this stuff that works and use them as much as possible and learn from them. So the ad is going to be 25 characters on the ad title, and these days they'll also put your URL underneath it if you provide one to an external URL. You have 135 characters of body copy, so you can you can write full sentences, and you can write pretty good ads here. It's not like the 35 letters or 2 lines of 35 that you had with Google, for example. Now you've got twice the space and more, and your image is going to be 110 pixels by 80 pixels. If you provide an image that's sized other than this, then I'm pretty sure that they'll resize it to fit into that space. So it's always better if you can go ahead and crop your images and select which 110 by 80 pixels you want displayed. So that's what the ad looks like. Now here's just a couple of guidelines. Again, I'm going to run through these, but I just want you to hear them, and then I want you to really learn them by going through the guidelines in the Facebook Help Center. So, and this makes sense. Your ad must directly relate to the landing page content. You're going to find a lot of times that they're going to say that your ad is disapproved, and it's going to be because you say something like download the free report, but on your landing page it says register here to download your free report. Okay, so it has to be directly connected to the action that they're expecting. If you are going to ask for registration, then your ad has to say click here to register for a free download. Right? You can't. So you'll find things like that get really tricky. So not only do you have to pay off the promise of the ad on your landing page, but the way that you deliver it has to be exactly as promised in your ad as well. Right? And you don't have to say download here, whatever. You can just say click here to learn more, and then you're usually safe. But if you want to emphasize, for example, if you say free video reveals this technique, then they go to your landing page and it says register here for this free video. Not going to happen, right? There's a disconnect there. So your ad is going to have to say free video reveals this technique, click here to register for instant access or something like that, right? So you've got to line those two up. It also, your ad, text, and image also has to clearly represent what's being advertised. So if you're advertising cars, it's not okay anymore to put a picture of a hot chick in there just because guys who drive cars happen to like hot chicks. That doesn't work anymore. What's in the image has to be related to what's being advertised, and what's being advertised must be directly available. So if you say, get a ticket to the car show, and then they come to the landing page and that ticket isn't available on that landing page, going to be a problem. This is one also is very tricky. You can't make unsubstantiated claims. So you can't talk about, this is the greatest price on earth ever. This is, a massive discount never heard of before. You can't refer to performance. You can't refer to results, obviously. If you say anything like, make this much money in this much time, or add 10,000 people to your list in 30 days, or, lose 50 pounds by the end of the month, any of those things, they're just, right? They're just not going to work. So, stay away from that. Now, if you say something about the price and the discount or availability, then your landing page has to pay that off, right? Usually you don't want to say, for a limited time, this is the other thing. If you advertise something and then they come to your landing page and it says, only available for a limited time, there's going to be a disconnect there as well, right? So if you have any limitations, or if you say anything about the price and discount availability, it has to appear in your ad, has to appear in your landing page, and it has to be consistent, and it can't be unsubstantiated. Like you can't say, 30% discount off this if you sign up now, and people sign up and they don't have any idea where to get that 30% discount. I mean, this is kind of common sense, but what's going to happen is you're going to find that it'll show up in really subtle ways. This is another one that shows up in really subtle ways. You can't insult, harass, or threaten a user. So you might say to yourself, there was a famous ad that had a picture of a muffin top. And if you're not familiar with it, when somebody's waist, when somebody's pants are so tight that their waist kind of hangs over their pants, it looks kind of like the top of a muffin. How that little top of the head of the muffin sort of overflows the bottom, kind of thing, and they call that a muffin top. Now, most people, I guess, except if you happen to be the person, wouldn't be offended by it. They just kind of know it as a quick way to describe that look. But of course, if you happen to be the person who has that experience, you might consider that very insulting. And so there used to be a picture where they had, the ad was called Muffin Top, and then they had a picture of a muffin top, some lady with, with a little excess weight, overflowing the tight jeans she was wearing, and then they were advertising some kind of diet program. Well, obviously, over time, they started to realize that really isn't a very flattering thing to accuse people of. Even if they're having that experience, it could be harassment, it could be insulting, and so on. And so they they obviously don't want those kinds of things in there. So when you're using colloquialisms or localisms or trendy language or whatever else, understand that there's going to be somebody on the receiving end of that, and if they might be offended or insulted, that your ad may stop running. You could try running it until somebody dislikes it, but then again, the more dislikes you have, or the more people X out your ad, the harder it's going to be to get your ads approved, and you may even face account suspension. So you want to be very aware of this. I mean, you have to be hyper vigilant in terms of remembering who your audience is and how they might respond to that. Now, if you have any autoplay audio, you can't. If somebody comes on your landing page, you can't autoplay the audio. Or you can't autoplay the video if you translate this directly. So people have to literally click the button that says, okay, let me watch this video. Now, I will say that I've seen this enforced 50-50. So I've seen a lot of landing pages that have autoplay, but by the strict interpretation of the guidelines, they should eventually be removed. Okay. Now, if you have any animation on your ad, and by the way, so this is for the ad and the text. So if your ad happens to play on, for example, a mobile device or on an application page or something like that, and you can actually, there are some ads that you can run audio on, those are the ones that can't autoplay. Let me take that back. It's not the Facebook landing page ads that can't autoplay. I mean the landing page. It's the actual ads that allow audio on them, because there are some destinations where you can put audio in your ad and that cannot autoplay. So people have to click on your ad to play it. The other thing is if you have an animation, so you might have a GIF. Have you seen these? They're not movies, they're just images, but they have 4 or 5 different little vignettes that they kind of flip through. Well, that's an animated GIF. If you have one of those, then it's got to stop after 15 seconds. And again, it can't autoplay. People have to select to autoplay it. So this is basically saying give the user control of what they hear and what they see. Because you can imagine if you have two, audio, somebody lands on a Facebook page and there are 2 ads that start to autoplay, it could get really distressing for the user. Okay, so your video or your animation, you can play for 15 seconds, then it must stop. If you have audio, then the audio must not play automatically. The user must control when it plays and when it doesn't. In our case, that's not usually going to be the kind of ad you're running, so don't worry too much about this. Now let's just look at the editorial guidelines. So your destination URLs, so you can link to a Facebook page, you can link to a Facebook application, but you need to be the creator or the admin of that application, or in fact you can you can link to a Facebook group or fan page or things like that. So within the Facebook environment, if you have a Facebook page or if you have a Facebook application, then you can let your ad click through to that Facebook destination. If you if you don't want it to land, if you don't want to bring your user to a Facebook page or application, you can bring them to any property that you own on the web. It could be a blog page, an opt-in page, could be your membership site, could be anything at all that you own. It's basically called an external URL, which basically means any legitimate URL or web page address outside of the Facebook environment. So you can choose where the users click through. Now, I've heard various things, and here's what I've heard is that it actually, because Facebook would obviously prefer that you keep your viewers or your prospects within the Facebook environment, right? It's to their advantage, that it actually costs you less to keep your landing pages in the Facebook environment. On the other hand, from your point of view, the Facebook environment also has a lot of other distractions for the users. Has information and walls and navigations and friends and other ads and all this kind of things. So it may not be as effective a place for you to have your users land. So you're going to want to do a little testing to see what combination of conversion versus cost per click or cost per thousand is going to work best for you. Okay, so you will find that your cost is lower if you keep them in the Facebook environment, but you will also find that you have to work harder to get them focused on taking the action that you want them to, because when they land on the Facebook page, wherever that is, then there's going to be 2 sidebars and a header working hard to distract them and giving them a lot of other options other than taking the action that they went there for. Okay, so test this. It's not a universal, one way or the other. Test it in your market and then see the one that's optimized best for you. So the destination page has to be relevant and accurate to the ad promise. So obviously it's got to land on something, destination page. If your ad talks about cars and the destination page talks about fish, guess what? Not going to happen. If your URL lands on a broken link, of course your ad will get rejected. You might want to install a number of different browsers on your page, so Google Chrome, Safari, Opera, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and actually click through on your ad. Make sure that your landing page is viewable from all browsers, because some of them don't behave in exactly the same way. You can't land them on a page that automatically starts a download, okay? Because that's how a lot of viruses and spam things are delivered. So you can't say, click here for instant download of my free report, and they click on it and then they get a zip file downloaded. Can't happen. They have to actually, go to your page, land on it, click the link, just choose to download it themselves. And you can't have any of those entry and exit pop-ups, right? So they come to your landing page, they don't like what they see, they go to close it down. You can't pop up something that says, oh wait, before you leave, and then try to capture the sale. And nor can, when they come to your page, you can't pop up a page that says, wait, before I give you your free gift, sign up for my extra special promotion or whatever. So they have to land on the landing page, no pop-ups on the entry or the exit, and no fake closing. So no fake closing traps. So for example, sometimes there's this thing that you can do that when people come to your landing page and then they move their mouse over to the top of the page where they want to close down the browser, and you can detect that and you can pop up something that says, wait, before you close this window, let me make you a special offer. Okay, that's a mouse trap or a keyboard trap. Well, you can't do that, right? So no exit or entry pop-ups, and you can't pop something up before as people are going to close down your page. In other words, if they want to close down your page, you just got to let them. So no tricky stuff going on here. Now, from a language point of view, this is this is something that's kind of weird, but they want proper grammar. So no incorrect spelling, no improper or unnecessary punctuation, or no incomplete sentences. So you can't say, click here to ... or anything like that, right? You have to properly capitalize everything. You have to have your ad title, and the first word of each sentence have to be capitalized. Proper nouns. You can't use acronyms, unless they're like very well-known acronyms, but most acronyms they won't accept. And if you use all caps, that's like shouting, so that also is a big no-no. So basically just write like you're writing an English paper. You can't do things like multiple spaces, or you can't put punctuation that pretends that there are line breaks where there aren't. It's going to be just one big long line in the body of your ad, so you can't try to work your way around that and put quotation marks and angle brackets and all that kind of stuff that make it look like line breaks. You can't symbols, numbers, and letters must be used properly. So you can't do those cutesy things like replace the letter the number, or excuse me, replace the word TO with the number 2, like too sick to work. You can't put a $sign where there should be an S to represent money, like save money. You can't put save dollars here by putting the $signs. You've got to use the words. I'm not sure what free book save today means. So if you wanted to, you can't hyphenate words so that people see them together if they don't actually deserve to be hyphenated, right? So you can't create a hyphenated word that tries to bypass the actual grammatical thing for the purpose of getting more attention or drawing attention, or it can't be cutesy. So if you wouldn't do it in an English paper, you can't do it in your ads. And don't shout. So lots of exclamation marks in addition to the caps are shouting. So if you have, you can say click here now with one exclamation mark. If you put more than one exclamation mark, you're shouting. They won't like that. So basically, look, this is the way I look at this is they're really enforcing good marketing principles, right? So all of these things that they don't allow, these are things that a lot of hypesters and low-grade marketers would tend to do, or direct marketers would do for tricky cutesy stuff and whatever. And you're actually going to end up running a much more professional looking ad, which is going to be better for your brand, going to be better for Facebook. So everybody wins. Just means that if you were used to using some of these cutesy tricks, that you're going to have to ease back on it a little bit. Now, in terms of creating and placing your ad, let's get right into it now. So this is there's a lot of places, in fact, where you can create your ad. The most common is, if you want to go straight to it, just go to the link facebook.com/ads/create. But if you look around on your in your profile and on your fan pages, and interspersed with the ads, you're going to see that this green create an ad button, or you'll see a create an ad link that you can click on, and you can virtually start creating an ad from almost anywhere you are. And obviously the more people that have advertising, that's where they make their money, so they're going to encourage you as much as possible. But if you're in the middle of it and you don't see any green buttons and you don't see any links, just go to facebook.com/ads/create and you'll get there. So here's a couple of examples, like for example, of where you're going to see these things. So here's my profile, and of course, just above the ads, where the ads are displayed, there's a create an ad link. If you want to get to it from your profile, there's in your command navigation menu, there's something called ads and pages that you can click on and get into your Facebook account manager for that profile. And then once you get there, if you're looking at the pages, for example, if you were to click on this navigation bar, you'll come to ads and pages, and you can go to the ad manager and actually look at your billing and your performance on stuff, or you go straight to create an ad. So above the page above the page that lists all your fan pages and where you can actually create your page, you can create an ad here. And by the way, notice here too, above the sponsored ads listing is another link there that says create an ad. So anywhere you happen to see one of those things, you just click on it, you can be creating ads. So let's go ahead and create an ad and see just how easy this can be. And by the way, everything we've done so far, you know, it's a one-time thing. Once you've learned it and once you sort of, you know, get your head around it, that's it. You never, you know, you're going to be implementing these techniques. You need to be aware of the policies and everything else. But here's how you write an ad for your account. Okay, we're gonna walk through it, and I'll tell you some of the ideas that you're going to want to incorporate as you're doing this. But frankly speaking, you know, this could be a 5-minute process without any of the narrative. So here's the link. We're going to go to facebook.com/ads-create. Okay, so I guess I'm logged in, so it's showing my account number, but you could go just straight to that URL. Okay, and so here's some of the things that you're going to be able to drive your advertising to. So an external URL to your fan page, or if you've got applications, and I've got a couple of applications here, then I could actually have people land on my application. I don't want to do that. If I wanted to advertise my page, my Power Up Coaching page, then I would select Power Up Coaching, and then it kind of fills in the links and everything else, and I just have to change the body text. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send it to an external URL. And let me say for fun I had, powerupcoaching.com/ I don't know, free report, just for fun. And the title of my ad is going to be free business growth report. Oh, not enough characters. Free grow your business free report. Nope, that's not going to work. So this is let's just say free marketing report. Okay, and you can see that that's where this is a preview of your ad. And then I might say visit this page now and download free marketing report that shares the top 5 sales producing marketing strategies from our tests. Okay. Now obviously, you know, we're not going to worry too much about whether this is correct or if it's the best copy or anything. I just want to sort of show you how the process works. Now as an image, this is interesting. I didn't actually prepare an image, so let me just for fun go to Google Images and say marketing, see what comes up. Okay, so I might want to use, let's say, this one. Now obviously you don't want to do this, right, because I don't know that I actually have the rights to use this image, but I'm just, for the sake of our demo, I don't have any other image prepared, so I'm just going to use this. Now this is not what I recommend you do, because I don't know what kind of copyrights are associated with this. So you want to use all the other places that we find images and get a legitimate image to use, right? So I want to show you this process anyway. Let me put this on my desktop. Because what I want to do now is show you, if you haven't used this tool before, it's a cute little thing here, where you can do some basic image editing. Okay. Upload a photo, desktop, what was that, online marketing.jpg. Okay, now what I'm going to do is resize this to 110. Okay, Okay, 115 is not going to work. So what I'm going to have to do is crop this a little bit. So let me just actual size is going to be 110. Okay, we need to bring this over. 110 by 80. Okay, so that's going to be my image. And now I'll save this. High quality. Okay, so this is you can see. I mean, I'm not going to go through a tutorial of Picnic, but this is something I use, you know, to edit and prepare images all the time. You could even, if you wanted to, for example, actually, let's do this. Put a border on it. Frame. Remember I said you want to catch people's attention, right? So I'm going to put a border on that. And then we're going to probably have to resize it again. So let's go resize this to 110 by 80. There we go. Okay, so that's the image we're going to put in our ad. Let's save that. And we're going to save it to our desktop. Replace what was there. And let's go upload it to our ad. Okay, and there's our ad. That's it. So now we've basically, we've designed our ad. Okay, we're done with the part about designing the ad. We've got it pointing to an external URL. We are offering, this is the URL of the landing page. This is, this by the way is a really interesting thing, because if you can't think of what to write for an ad, you can actually have Facebook look at the destination page, the destination landing page, and suggest what your ad copy should be down here. It's pretty cool. But anyway, of course, I prefer to write my own copy. And so this is what our ad is going to look like when it's displayed. Now for targeting, I'm going to say Canada, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, and where else? I don't know, let's just say that for the time being. So now what you'll notice here on the right hand side is that this number will change. As I start to limit my geography, as I start to limit my age, as I start to limit my demographics and my likes and interests, the number of people on YouTube, on Facebook that could see my ad that match my criteria are going to diminish, but that's okay because they are the most targeted ones, right? And I'm going to say someone between the ages of, let's say 25 to, let's say 25 to 50 is my demographic. Yeah, so I want only people in that age range, okay? And men and women equally. And here's where I'm going to now go and I'm going to imagine what these people have in their profile. So let's just say it was about marketing. I type the keywords that I can think of, and what Facebook does is gives me a list of suggestions. These are what people have in their profiles, in their likes and interests. So I want to match anybody who has marketing, and then it suggests a couple of other things, right? So I want to match entrepreneur, I want to match marketing and sales. I don't care, but marketing manager usually is corporate, and I'm not looking for corporate. I might say advertising, and I don't do any affiliate training, so psychology, not so much. Now you could say, oh yeah, this is the psychology of marketing, but really it's about marketing. This subject is more about psychology, so I'm going to leave that out. And then I'm going to start thinking about some other ones. So let's say, for example, small business. Okay, so small business, and I saw another one in there, small business owners. Okay. Let's see what else matches with small business. Trends, launch, admin, on, about, com. Okay, nothing else really. So I'm going to take that out of there. And I might even say internet. Let's see what happens here. Internet surfing, database, internet marketing. So for sure I want that one. What else is internet Surfing Explorer. What was the other one that I saw that I liked? Okay. Oh, business blog. Okay. So anybody who's interested in an internet business blog, because you know what, if this was landing on my internet marketing business blog, if this was my homepage, then anybody who's looking for a blog that writes about internet business, my screen appears frozen. You are correct, but let's see. And there we go. Now we're moving again. Okay. So now I've decided. Now notice I've gotten down to 240,000 people, right? So I may want to, remove some of these. Now, by the way, one of the tips I'll share with you later is, like, I'm going a little bit out of my way here to put a lot of categories in here just to show you how this works. But frankly, I wouldn't put internet marketing and small business necessarily in the same ad, right? Because I want to really focus in on, is it the small business owners or is it the internet marketers who are responding to my ad? So I want to create silos of ads. In other words, I want the same ad to appear with different groups so that I can figure out who's responding to this best, right? So not only is it going to give me more people, but it's going to be more relevant people. So I might even say, for example, marketing and advertising, not always the same thing. I'll remove that. Internet marketing, I'm going to say in this case, I don't want to know about internet marketers specifically. I just want to know about small business owners in marketing. Okay, so I have fewer people, but they're not as diverse. They're not. See, these are more targeted. Now, what I would do is I would duplicate this ad, and I would put internet marketing, small business, internet, and so on. And I would focus on people who are interested in internet marketing to see, are the internet marketing crowd responding better to this ad, or is the small business owner crowd responding better to this ad? And you will find that this is a better approach than dumping every like and interest and demographic that you can under one ad. Just replicate the ads and change the targeting, and then you will see where your ad works better, who's most interested, who's most qualified. Okay. So connections, yeah, let's just say anyone who's connecting. What this refers to is people who are not just looking at profiles, but they're looking at fan page. They sign up for certain events. You could get very specific and say, well, I only want people who are in particular groups or who like particular pages. Like if you had a product here that was, for example, for Jack Canfield fans, you might look up Jack Canfield's page and say, I only want users who are connected to, and then put either your page or, in this case, Jack Canfield's page, and then anybody else won't see your ad. So you can get very specific here, but we're just going to keep that to anyone for the time being. You can get even more advanced here. You can say, well, if you were, for example, selling a relationship-based product, you might only want people who are single or engaged or not, maybe just single. And maybe you're dealing only with women. You might say single women, right? And in fact, I've seen it happen many times that you can target people on their birthdays. So, your ad might say, "Happy birthday! You're alone and single still. Is this the year that you're going to find your soulmate?" Right? And so that ad is sure to get the attention of some people. In our case, we're going to talk. We want only people who are into. I don't know what upside down English is or pirate English is. So I usually just put English UK and English US, and that's good enough. Education and work, if there's a demographic there, and this is another interesting thing too. You might say only people who work at Apple, right? Or I might say only people who work at Microsoft, if that was who you were aiming for. So you can see you can get really targeted in terms of who it is that you're running your ads for. Okay, so that handles the targeting. So we've written our ad. Step 1, designing the ad. Step 2, we target who it's for, demographics, sociographics, likes and interests, education, work, and so on. And now we're going to just decide how much we're willing to pay and how we want to pay for it. So let's call this, test marketing campaign. And I usually start with a $25 a day budget. It's really important that you set your budget here, obviously, because what you don't want is to overshoot how much you're willing to spend, right? So this is your daily budget for this campaign. And what I would probably say is, if you're just starting out, the other thing you might want to do is, instead of running it continuously, that is, run it forever, if you have a $300 budget and you're spending $25 a day, you've got you've got 12 days to run. So you might decide, well, you know what, today's the 23rd, whatever that might happen to be, June 23rd, so 7, 10, 12 days. So I want to run it until June the 8th, and that's it, so that I can't possibly spend more than my budget. Okay, so around this time, your ad stops running. If you happen to be on vacation or out of town, or it just slips your mind or whatever, no problem, the ad stops running. And then you'll get an email saying, hey, your ad stopped running. Okay. Now, if you want to spend $300 as fast as you can to get results as fast as you can, then put $300 here as your lifetime budget, and just put a limit on how much it'll run. So you don't want to spend any more than $300 on this campaign, and you want to run it no more than 12 days. But if you blow $300 in 2 days, you want to stop. Okay, that's the lifetime budget, and then that way you can reevaluate and say, wow, I got a lot of traffic in those 2 days. Do I want to spend more money? Was it profitable, and so on. So if you want quick results, then either increase your daily budget or just put a lifetime budget on it. If you want measured results over time, then put a daily budget and make sure you restrict your schedule. Now, pricing, this is interesting. So Facebook is recommending I pay somewhere between $7 and $12. Now, obviously, that's not how much I'm going to pay per click. That'd be kind of crazy. So, so what I'll do is, this is the suggested bid, right? So what I could do is one of two things. I could either say, well, look, I'm probably not going to get a lot of traffic or whatever, but I only want to spend 50 cents, period. And there are times, I think, when Facebook will come back and say, dude, you're not going to get any traffic. Don't even bother bidding that. And here, of course, they say we strongly recommend you bid within that range, but you don't have to, right? It's an auction. And if nobody else bids between $7 and $12, everybody else is bidding 50 or 60 cents, then you're going to get your ad displayed. And you got to manage your own budget. So you may not get as much traffic, that's fine. They may not make as much money, that's fine. Just kind of work your own budget. The other thing you might choose to do is pay for impressions. So here, for example, you're paying for 1,000 impressions, and you're only paying 92 cents. So every time your ad displays, you'll pay 92 cents for 1,000 displays of your ads, but your ad only displays when it meets the criteria that you set here. So when your ad appears in front of 1,000 qualified prospects, and whether they click or not, but you'll only pay 92 cents here, right? So quite a difference, right? So if you're paying per click and you want to see a reasonable amount of traffic, you're going to pay $8 per click. That's going to get expensive fast. If you've got a pretty decent ad and you can get 3 or 4 clicks every 1,000 impressions, instead of $27, you're going to pay 92 cents. So in a case like this, it's very clear that what you want to start off with is pay for impression cost per 1,000, and then work really hard to get as many clicks on that as you can, because then your ad will run and you'll pay next to nothing for it. Now, when you place your order, you're basically saying, okay, I've specified as much as I want about my ad. Now I want you, Facebook, to approve it, to review it and approve it. And that's what place the order would do. If you want to take a look at your ad before sending it to the Facebook folks for review, you can just click on Review Ad. Okay. And take a look at it. This is how it's going to look. Make sure, you could click on your link and make sure it goes where it's supposed to. That's actually a broken link now, so I don't want to use it. You can double check your name. You can double check your demographics and make sure that what you think you're paying is how much you're paying, and your campaign is it. And then if you're ready, you place your order. And if you need to make changes, you go back and you edit your ad. Okay, I always recommend you do this just as a kind of a final check to make sure that what you think is happening is actually happening before you start, because if they approve your ad, you're going to get billed right away as soon as it starts running. And that could be, 2 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, you don't know. So it's better to just double check, make sure that everything is correct, and then place your order. Now, I'm not going to place the order now because all that happens is a confirmation page shows up, says your ad has been submitted for approval, but I don't actually want to submit this ad for approval. That was just for a demo. Okay, and that's basically it. That's all there is to writing an ad. Now, what I'm going to show you is ways that you can quickly write multiple ads. We talked about this before, right? So let's say, for example, I wanted to replicate an ad that was approved, but I just want to test a new headline. Well, this select existing creative allows me. These are some of the ads that I have running on this particular account. Okay, these were all to do with presentation domination. So let's say that this particular ad was was doing very well, and I just want to do a split test of this. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to submit it. And now what happens is my image, my ad creative title, everything changes to match that ad. Now down below you're going to find that the demographics are the same, right? So still targeting my same audience, but I've changed the ad design. But this allows me to test the headline. I can just change it, change out the headline, and then immediately go to the placing of the order. Or if I wanted to, I could have chosen the ad that I just created while we were together here, and selected that as the creative, and then I could go down and actually change the likes and interests. And I could have said here, now I'm going to focus on internet marketing. Right, and I might say anybody who likes Eben Pagan, anybody who likes Frank Kern, anybody who likes Rich Schefren. Okay, and so now what I'm doing is I'm testing the same ad creative, but I'm just targeting it to a different group. And then what I could go down, review the ad, place the order, and this is a way to quickly duplicate ads, so you don't have to go in and retype the whole thing all the time, so that you can run a lot of split tests very easily. You can either split test your ad creative, or you can split test your targeting. You could even split test the difference between cost per 1,000 versus cost per click, although it seems kind of silly. If you're running at CPM, you're going to be able to quickly multiply and get a sense of, if you get a number inside here, you'll quickly get a sense of how much you would have paid if you're paying cost per click. So typically you won't A/B split test this stuff. You're going to A/B split test either the ad creative or the ad targeting. Okay, and so now you know that when you look at your stats, you're going to know whether the internet marketing crowd responds better to your ad or the small business crowd responds better to your ad. And then I might do this again and select the same ad creative. Okay, and I might say, all right, I want to look and see how coaches respond to this. So coaching, business coach, let's see. Okay, I want to talk to business coach, life coach, whoops. Okay, life coaching, and so on, right? And now I can run the same ad and see how the life coaching niche responds to it. And I could just do this, as long as I want, just duplicate it over and over and over again and do all my split testing this way. So most people, weirdly enough, end up rewriting their ads completely top to bottom. So I just wanted to make sure you saw this. Select existing creative. And there's also another way. I don't know how to get to it. Just let me see if I can find it for you here. Ads. Let me get to my ads. Okay, so here's my presentation domination. So let me look at some ads that we're running. You can see I stopped that after my test was complete. And yeah. And so here's an ad, and if this was, I didn't run this very long, as you can see, but if it was running and performing well and everything, then I could just create a similar ad, right? And this is a lot like what we just did earlier, but basically if I do create a similar ad, then it automatically populates the ad design, and I can just scroll down. All I have to do now is figure out which one of these categories I want to change, likes and interests, demographics, or whatever else. Okay, so it just makes it a little bit easier to replicate the ads. Now, I could have said select existing creative. Now, what's important about that, the most important thing is, earlier you saw me targeting life coaches, the coaching market, for example, and then the internet marketing market, and then the small business or entrepreneur market. Well, I could have put all of those into one targeting environment here, right, under likes and interests. The problem is if I do that, then I'm gonna have 1/3 of the efficacy of each ad, because the ad is going to appear and it's not going to be relevant 2/3 of the time. Even though it matches the likes and interests, somebody will see the ad, but that ad will not be targeted to life coaches, will not be targeted to small business owners, will not be targeted to internet marketers. It'll be a generic ad, so chances are it won't convert as well. If I do put something that says life coaches, read this free marketing report, then I automatically alienate 2/3 of my target market. Right? So I don't want to just dump as many likes and interests in there as possible. I actually want to do what I call relevancy silos. And I want to create campaigns for an ad and multiply that, copy them over and over again so that they target individuals niches together. Even though it's the same ad, could be the same offer, or maybe I'll change the headline so that it puts life coach in the headline, or small business owner in the headline, or internet marketer in the headline. I might target it a little bit better, but I'm still doing the same offer, the same ad creative, but I really want to make the ad, the offer, and the market as tightly matched as possible. Okay, that's a real big deal for Facebook advertising. Well, it's a big deal for all your advertising, but especially for Facebook. Okay, so that's how simple it is to create an ad. So here's a couple of tips for you as you're doing your ads. First of all, I mentioned it before, and I can't stress enough, please read the ad guidelines and the editorial guidelines and everything, and make liberal use of the Facebook Help database. Excuse me, there's a ton of great content in there. In fact, let me just take you there and show you. Okay, if you go to the Facebook Help and browse the help topics, right, you can go to Facebook ads, and there's like a lot of great information here. It'll walk you through step by step about the ads, getting started, running your ad, policies. Make sure you read the advertising guidelines. Take a look at the best practices. This is a great little piece of help database. So don't overlook the value of that just because it happens to be free and provided by Facebook. It's actually quite good. The other thing is keep your click-through rate as high as possible. So we talked about the fact that it's going to be around 1/10 of what you're used to seeing in your search campaigns, but keep it as high as possible, because remember, the more people click on your ad, the more money Facebook makes. And so the more money you can make them, the more they're going to run your ad. They're not going to run ads that don't make the money. They need to maximize their revenue. So if your ad has a higher click-through rate than another ad, all things being equal, yours is going to show up more often. Okay, so really work hard to optimize your click-through rates. And if you have an ad that's not converting well, don't let it run too long so that it starts to affect your overall click-through rate. Shut it down, try something new, experiment with something different. Don't use your fan page wall as your landing page. There's too many things going on your wall for people to really figure out what they need to do. Let me just see if you're wondering what a wall is. Let me just head over to pages. Okay. Well, this is a group. Hold on. Okay, if you look at, for example, Mari's page. Come on, internet, take me home. All right, well, while the internet is thinking about this, let's go to Facebook. Oh, get me to the book. Oh, I see. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, so here's the wall, right? The wall on your fan page is the equivalent of a blog. It's going to have all of your notes and all of your people's comments and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, if you land somebody here from your ad, if somebody clicks on your ad and lands here, what are they going to do? They're not going to know what to do first. They're just going to start reading. They're not going to click on anything. They're not going to add themselves to your list. They're not, you're not doing anything effective with your advertising. You might have, usually this is a brand photo, so it's not going to have any opt-in offer. These things in the wall are going to scroll past every time you post something to your wall, or one of your friends posts something to the wall. So you can't guarantee that what you want them to see is going to appear at the top of the wall. So your goal is not to have them come here and get to know your content and surf around and all that kind of stuff. That's not it. What you want is for them to either become a fan, which means that they're going to click the like button here and become a fan of yours, or that they're going to actually opt in to your email list. So let me see, these guys probably won't have an opt-in or anything. Let me see if I can find a page that has what I'm looking for. So what you ideally are going to want, I bet you Mari has this. Okay, so Mari, here you go. So free Facebook resources. Okay, so you want them to land on a page like this, that actually has an opt-in offer. Now, I think I'm actually a fan of Mari's already. I'm not sure, so I'm probably already seeing this. But you've probably seen stuff like this, where you can't see the content until you become a friend. So here, the iFrame app demo. Okay. So I already like Mari's page, so this is the content that I can see, right? I can see fan content, but if I wasn't, let me unlike her page here for a second. Okay, so see what happens now is they're theoretically, let me see this, popular app. Okay, so click here for instant replay access to the most popular Facebook webinar. Okay, so at this point I don't see that Facebook webinar, so if I like it, there should be a Facebook webinar. Where is it, Mari? Okay, not a great demonstration. There was a webinar here, I'm pretty sure. But the idea being here that you want to bring them to a page that basically says, hey, I've got something for people who like my page. So if you like my page, I'm going to reveal this content. And this is called a Fangate page or a reveal page or an iframe or whatever. And that's a pretty decent place to bring people to. You can bring them to where you have free resources, and you can actually make this an opt-in page. Now Mari's done something kind of cool. She's got tabs up here, so there's an application that, see, I wouldn't bring it to a page with tabs. And by the way, this is not her landing page necessarily, right? So if it was a landing page, I would remove the tabs and I would just say free Facebook marketing webinar, and that's perfect. You click on that, and then there's her opt-in page. Okay. Now, for me, if you can put something like this, like an opt-in page, right on your Facebook wall, that's even better. Right, so you could put a Fangate here that says, "Hey, if you become a fan of mine, I'll give you, this whatever free webinar or something." Right, but either way, what you want to do if you're coming to your Facebook page, don't let them land on the wall. Let them land on a page where you give them something of value and ask for them to take some action. Okay, because as you can see, there's lots going on everywhere here on this page. There's so many choices about what to do. Whoops. I clicked and dragged. So many pages about what to do. That's why you're going to see lower conversion on Facebook.com anyway. So generally you want to see something like, for example, here, Frank Kern, right? He's coming to an external page. It's his own page where he's taking registrations for his event. This is probably going to convert better, and yep, you're going to pay a little bit more because it's not on Facebook, but you're getting an email address, and you're showing people a presentation that hopefully will sell them into your product, and you're good to go. So this is a good alternative. But if you're bringing them to your fan page, then bring them onto a gateway page that says something like this: free Facebook marketing webinar. Like this page and you'll get instant access to it. Then when they like it, it will instantly display the webinar here, and it will underneath the webinar say, if you want to be notified when we have more of these webinars for free, then add your name to our mailing list. So let's see, Todd says, Nick's fan page has a reveal tab with an opt-in. Oh yeah, I should have thought of Nick, of course. Okay, so see, click here for free video. So I'm going to click on free video. And so I'm already a fan of Nick's. So let me unlike this page here for a second so you can see better how this works. Okay, so click like for marketing tips. So if I click here, I'm actually going to see the video. Whoops. Let me stop. Okay. And let me see, what else do I see? So here's the opt-in underneath here. Okay, so this is the kind of page you want to bring people to, right? Now, it says, learn how to triple your fans. I would probably not play this video myself until people become a fan, but I'm thinking maybe because I was a fan a second ago that it thinks I am. But see, I'm actually noticing here, it's not playing, right? It's just going around in circles. But if I like this page, let's see if that works any better. Maybe it's just my, there we go. Okay, now I'm able to see the video. And as I'm watching the video and getting some real great value, then Nick also makes an offer below to get onto his mailing list. So this is a fantastic example of what I would recommend you do. Right, so you bring people to a page, and this accomplishes two things. So first of all, you actually get people, you get followers, right? You get fans. And so you're advertising, the first step is to make them fans on your fan page. But of course, just because they're fans doesn't mean they're going to see everything you publish, right? Because it could just scroll by their wall, and you could be announcing an event and it could just, you post it to their wall and they don't show up for 3 days, they don't see it. So you still want them, and if you're running a launch, you need to be able to talk to them in real time. So what you want more than anything is to be able to email them. So while they're watching this great content and getting great value, you say, hey, if you want more great stuff like that, our free trainings are only available for a limited time, and this is where he gets you onto his opt-in list. Okay, so this is facebook.com/Nick's fan page. And Nick is actually a Guru Coaching grad, one of our, I guess you'd call him an alma mater, or we're the alma mater for Nick. And I'm actually talking to him about coming on and doing a special presentation for us, because he's one of the up and coming rock stars in the social media world, and he's generously agreed to come and teach you how to get started quickly with your social media presence. Okay, so here's a perfect example. Go and like Nick's page, and then we'll hear from him pretty soon. But the important thing here is, if you're going to bring people to your fan page, then bring them to a landing page that encourages them to like your page as soon as possible. Don't let them surf around. Do not take them to your wall. Don't take them to your videos and to your blog and to everything else. Take them to a landing page that says, hey, I'll give you a lot of value if you like this page. And then when they do that, you say, if you want a lot more of this stuff, then opt in. Okay, that's a great two-step process. Thanks for that, Todd. Really important here too that you know that you cannot run A/B split tests according to the terms of service. So we're used to doing things where we'll run an ad and then we'll put a URL in the ad that is a rotator link, right? So like 50% of the time it'll go to page A and 50% of the time it'll go to page B. Well, you can't actually do that on Facebook. So the URL that you use for an ad has to always go to the same landing page. So if you want to split test your stuff, you're going to have to run two separate ads, and the only thing that'll be different is the landing page, but you cannot rotate your URLs. Okay, so just be aware of that. This I was mentioning before. Target your ads and your campaigns in what I call relevancy silos, right? So make sure that even though you could dump every like and interest and demographic together and lump it into one thing, don't fool yourself into thinking that you're saving time because you're creating fewer ads. You're actually going to pay more per click, and you're going to have less response by doing it that way. So take a little extra time, replicate the ads that are working, and use your targeting to get as tight and narrowly focused as you can, and then optimize your ads and even your landing pages to suit that specific target if you can. Because remember, the higher the click-through rate and the better the opt-in page, the bigger the list and the more success you're going to have. We also talked about making your images stand out in the crowd. So use borders, use colors. You know, the background on Facebook is basically white with a little bit of blue elements. So if you want to make something red or shocking yellow with a red border or something like that, do it, you know, because it'll catch the eye. If it catches the eye, you stand a better chance that that person is going to read your ad. Use attention grabbing photo. You know, if it makes sense to put something silly or, you know, funny face or crazy or whatever, do it. But, you know, remember the terms of service guideline. If it relates to what you're doing, great. If it doesn't, then, you know, be as creative as you can in terms of the color scheme and making your image pop off the page. And of course, if you're promoting something that it has a brand, so if you were promoting, you know, Eben's programs to Eben fans and you have a picture of Eben, then it makes a whole lot of sense, right? So if you're promoting a brand and it has a logo, use the logo. If you have a logo for your product, then, you know, use that as the image. If people recognize you and your face, then use that. And if you're promoting your fan page especially, by all means, you know, use your image, because it's relevant and it's meaningful to the people who are seeing it. Don't let ad rejections turn you off. I mentioned this before, and you know, a lot of people get easily frustrated with Facebook, and I'm going to tell you now that you may end up finding that they're going to reject stuff that you're going to shake your head and go, what's wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with this. And usually there's some little thing, and sometimes there isn't anything wrong with it. So you know what? Just take it in stride, make some little change, and resubmit it. It's just part of the process, and the help desk is fairly responsive. And hey, you submit 100 times, they'll look at it 100 times, and eventually something's going to click. So don't get put off by that process. And then consider using a FanGate tab. This is what we were just looking at now. The FanGate being something where people actually click the like button on your page, and then they'll have access to fan-only content. This seems to be working. Excuse me. It seems to be working very well right now. I mean, I don't know how long it'll work for, but right now it seems to be going, you know, great guns. It's a great way to get people to like your page. And then do that extra step of when they see the fan-only content, make sure that they see the opt-in opportunity as well. So let your landing page do double duty to build your followers and to build your list. And if you need you know, some application that will do that kind of tab and fan page thing for you, have a look at that link here. This is the Wildfire app. It's a free app that will create that kind of tab thing for you. There's also another company I think called HyperArts. Social media, Facebook. Here you go, Tab Press. Okay, you can look at these guys, and they've got something set. You know, you could do pretty much for free. And this is probably, you know, what Mari was using to do her multiple tabs inside the wall. So this is even cooler, right? You can have a wall with your tabs right up at the top navigation instead of along the side of the profile or the fan page. Okay, so I think I'm pretty sure this is free. Yeah, free up to 25,000 fans, and the Wildfire app is also free. So those are two good sources for you to be able to do a FanGate for your page. Okay. I recommend you take a look at this. Is part of the help index that we were looking at for Facebook ads. It's best practices. It's kind of interesting to just go through and see, you know, what they think are the best practices for writing good ads that are going to get approved, that are likely to get approved, and then also interesting to look at what they consider to be mistakes. So you can run through some of the ads that they rejected, and you know, they'll walk you through why they rejected it, and you'll see, you know, things you might see in there you wouldn't necessarily have interpreted the way they do, but it gives you an insight into the way they look at ads. So these are pretty good additional resources. If you get stuck going, geez, this ad looks like it should fly, why doesn't it? These are other two good resources. But essentially, this all falls within the help area of Facebook ads. So now, you know, surf around and read that as much as you can, because you'll get a slightly new perspective every time you have to rewrite an ad. So here's the action steps I'd like to invite you to take on. So first of all, decide if you want to build a fan base or if you want to build an email list. Now, of course, the two are not mutually exclusive, but the difference would be that if you wanted to build an email list instead of a fan base, then you would drive traffic to an opt-in page. If you wanted to build a fan base, then you would drive traffic to, for example, a FanGate. And once they're in the fan gate, you can also build your list as well. Okay, so decide what your major objective is going to be. Then put some kind of offer online that you can advertise. So either put put an opt-in page up on your website, or maybe even on your fan page. Decide what it is that your market is really going to value and they would want for free. Create that irresistible offer, and then put it online. Now, if you're going to build a list, then get yourself a copy of Optimized Press, or put an opt-in page on your blog or something, and make an offer for that free gift. If you're deciding you want to build your fan base, then get a fan gate designed that says, hey, I'm going to give you this thing for free, but it's only for fans, so like our page, and then you can download it instantly. Then create some ads the way we talked about it, and promote your opt-in offer. Okay. Now, I say opt-in, but of course it could be promote your fan gate or your opt-in offer. And just watch what happens. And see, one of the things that we stress the most here is building a list, right, of qualified prospects. And I would love to see, if you ran this for a month, could you get 100, 500, 1,000? How many people could you add to your list, or how many new followers could you get? Okay, so if you're willing to take it on for the next few weeks, I'd love for you to try this on. In fact, I would love it if you would start the minute we hang up from this call and start thinking through this, because the number one thing I want you to always be doing is building your list, and this is one of the fastest, easiest, and yes, most affordable way to do it. Okay, if you have any questions, raise your hand with a *2, or just go ahead and type them into the GoToWebinar control panel. Kevin says, are there any problems using GIFs? You can't stop animating a GIF after 15 seconds. Well, yeah, if you can't stop it after 15 seconds, then you can't use it, Kevin. So anything that has animation is going to run for 15 seconds or less. So you probably want to use a video rather than GIFs. Trevor says, how do you actually create one of Nick's landing pages within Facebook? Okay, so that would be the either the Wildfire app, the iframe app, or the HyperArts page that I showed you. And Andrew says, what was the name of that photo resizer? That would be PIC, as in it's picnic, but with a photo PIC rather than PICK. There you go, PICNIK, picnic. And this is an online service, right? So you don't have to download anything to your desktop or anything like that. You can just do it all over the web. Julie says, great webinar, Lou. Thank you, Julie. Glad you liked it. Sherry, how long do you let an ad run before you decide whether it's effective or not? I let it run for until it either blows my budget, or it if it looks like it's going to reach 200 clicks in a reasonable period of time, I let it run until it reaches 200 clicks. If it doesn't look like it's going to reach 200 clicks for a long period of time, and the click-through rate is 0.1 or less, then I start thinking about pulling it as well. So it's kind of a combination of how much time is it taking to get the traffic, how much is there a possibility that the click-through rate could change? If I'm getting 1 click a day, then it's going to take me a year to get 200 clicks. Then I'm probably going to pull it. If I'm getting 10 clicks a day, and it takes me say 20 days to get 200 clicks, but my click-through rate is 0.1 or better, then I'll keep running it. and then of course, if it gets so much traffic that it blows my budget, then I'll run it and reevaluate as well. And then at that point, I usually look and see whether it was profitable or not, and decide whether to continue to let it run or not. But generally speaking, use 200 actions as the basis for most of your tests. It's a rough guideline. It's not a purely statistically significant number, but it is enough data that you're not making decisions based on insufficient data, but it's not so much that it's going to take you forever to collect it. Okay, so 200 clicks, blow your budget, or when it looks like the click-through rate's never going to raise. Let me see. Mike says, I ran a Facebook ads at $1 a click for affiliate products, and when you're making $30 in affiliate product, you always lose. I quit after 60 clicks, $60. People were clicking through we're clicking through to the affiliate page but not buying. And these were high gravity ClickBank products. What do you think of this? Well, I mean, without knowing the product or the ad or the market, I don't know what to make of it. You know, $1 a click for an affiliate product, you have to, you know, this is the same thing as if you were running pay-per-click. I mean, you have to do the math, right? If you're getting $10, let's say on what's your thing here? It says $30. Okay, you're making $30 on an affiliate product, right? So if you have to spend more than $30 to make $30, then you probably can't run that as an affiliate promotion. So you either need to get a better click-through rate, or you have or somehow pay less. You know, you might consider doing a cost per thousand, or cost per thousand rather than cost per click, and see if that improves. Because if you're getting click-through rates, like let's say for example, you're paying a buck a pop now click-through rate, and let's see, it says I quit after 60 clicks, so you paid $60. Now, in the example that we saw when I was working through this for I think it was like 92 cents, you could get 1,000 impressions. So let's say roughly for $1 you could get 1,000 impressions. Now, if your click-through rate was, say, 5%, then you would get 50 clicks every $1 you spent, as opposed to getting 1 click for every $1 you spent. So it might be worth trying the CPM. Ultimately, it boils down to the fact that you have to have you've got to have a good ad, and you've got to get. You don't have to get just people who are clicking through, but you have to get people who are clicking through and actually interested potentially in what was going on. The other thing that you might consider is, instead of taking them directly to your affiliate page, you might take them to a pre-sale page, one of your own, where you actually build a list rather than take them straight to the affiliate offer. Because if you're building a list, maybe they're interested in, for example, traffic generation, but they just don't happen to be interested in that product. Well, if they're on your list, you can offer them a new traffic generation product every week, and so you get more than just one chance. You don't have to throw the Hail Mary pass. So number one thing that affiliate marketers do wrong is not build a list. So what I would do if it was me is I would probably bring them to a pre-sale page. I would advertise a free report or a free video or free training on the subject, and then once they see that, click them over to the sales page for the product. And then if they buy, great. But at the very least, now I can sell them 10, 20, 30 other products this year. And that's going to mean, for those people who don't buy, that you have a lot of ways to make up for the people who don't buy. You only need a few of your people buying irrationally and becoming great lifetime customer value customers to make up for all the ones that don't, and most of them won't. So you have to do your math on that basis. So I think the things that come to mind to me would be: make sure that your offer is relevant to the market, make sure that what you're advertising qualifies people, so that they're just not clicking through on curiosity, that they're clicking through because it's something that they want. You could think about writing your ad that way. Think about testing out your cost per thousand versus your cost per click, and make sure your click-through rate is way better than the 0.05 that you just typed in here that you have. You want double that click-through rate at least. And then consider taking them to a pre-sale page where you build a list, or on your fan page build a following, rather than taking them directly to the affiliate sales page. So those are the ideas that come to mind that you might want to consider, Mike. Trevor says, you seem to be recommending cost per impression versus cost per click. Is that right? Yeah, and this is actually kind of a recent change in my thinking. But I mean, essentially, I'm recommending what works best and what costs you less. But I used to think that work the cost per click out, and once I found my highest converting cost per click, then move over to cost per impression. But as you can see, sometimes the difference between cost per click and cost per impression is so dramatic that it makes no sense to do cost per click. And I have one of my coaches, Armin Morin. I still talk to him on occasion, and I still get some information from him, and he recently convinced me that it usually works out that cost per impression is the better way to go, and that when you do the math, there may be a time, depending on what the current bid price is on the cost per click, there may be a time that you're getting such a high conversion rate that it makes sense to go over. But what I've been coached to do lately is to focus on cost per thousand impressions as my first method. So yes, I have been advised to do it backwards. I used to do it the other way around. I used to always do cost per click, used to optimize my click-through rate, and then I would do cost per thousand. But as it turns out, the difference in the cost of a CPC versus a CPM campaign are so dramatic, especially in the markets that I'm in, that it usually makes sense to try cost per thousand first. So yes, I think I'm going to recommend that for the time being, and I'm also going to recommend do the math, man. Because it's different for everybody. It's different for every market, different for every ad, different for every situation. So use that as a guideline, as a starting point, but do the math, right? If you're paying, if the cost per click that Facebook wants you to pay is $1, and based on the conversion rate, when you do the math, you're paying $2 per click using CPM, then go for cost per click. So just the answer is do the math. But yes, I am now starting all my campaigns on cost per thousand first. Julie, this is a different subject, Lou, but the last replay link wasn't working earlier today. Has it been fixed? I don't know, Julie. You'll have to contact the support team for that. I don't have anything to do with those things, so I have no idea. So if you don't mind going into the members area and putting a support request in, they may not even be aware that that's happening. So I don't know. Okay, I'm seeing a hand up from Escondido. Welcome to the call. Who's calling from area code 760? Have you got your mute button on? Okay, maybe you put your hand up by accident then, so I will mute your line again. And lower your hand. Good. So it looks like we're all done for the night. No more questions, no more hands. So I will take that as a good opportunity to close the call tonight. And, not too late. Just a few minutes past 9:30. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you're inspired and motivated to give Facebook ads a try. Think about it primarily as a list building or a fan base development effort. Don't think about it just as a sales exercise, right? Because once they're on your list, once they become fans, then you have multiple opportunities to sell. So your objective here is to create a following and or build your list. So focus on that. See if you can shoot for 500 or 1,000 fans or 500 or 1,000 opt-ins in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and let me know how it goes. Let me know if you decide to do it. If you want to check in and play around and talk about your ads and what's working and what's not and get some feedback, we can do that on our coaching calls. Most importantly, I'd love for you to find this to be a highly successful and quick way for you to build your list. Okay, so next Monday is we're going to meet Thursday for a coaching call. This is going to be no reviews this Thursday. It's going to be just Q&A, and then next Monday we're off on holiday. Okay, so keep that in mind. And so until we speak again, it's been great being here with you. Thank you for being here. Your being here allows me the opportunity to do this work, which is fun and fulfilling. So I appreciate you allowing that for me. I look forward to catching up with you on the next one. Until then, thank you. Good night. Namaste.